Hello, guys. You are now tuned into Like What the Fuck podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about parenthood.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
What a topic. Oh
What
my
a topic.
God.
It is a lot to unfold. And I don't even think we're going to get to all of it today, but
I think we
we're,
could bite off a good chunk.
we're going to bite off a good chunk and, discuss obviously what we can because we aren't parents ourselves. So it's going to be coming more so from a child's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was it like growing up for you?
Well, I'm the oldest of four. There was a lot of responsibility. There was a lot of expectation to be,
Mm-hmm.
perfect, do everything that my parents asked me to do.
Oh, girl, you're the oldest girl. That oldest
And
girl
I'm the oldest
syndrome.
girl. So yeah, like a lot of pressure to not have sex, not have a baby.
Mhm.
Like
You got to watch these kids.
well, I will say I didn't have it as bad because my younger siblings, well, I'm 10 years apart from my next closest sibling.
Mm-hmm.
So, that part, and then also my two youngest siblings, they have different mothers than I and me
Okay.
and my brother. So I didn't really have to, watch all them bad babies, but definitely had to watch the one beneath me. So that was interesting, and I'll delve deeper into that. But pretty much growing up, there's just a lot of expectation to do what the fuck my parents told me to, and that's about it. No shade to my parents, but I don't think they prepared me in the way that they think that they did. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I'm everything in one. I was basically raised an only child
Mm-hmm.
because I was my mom's only child. My dad had a son before me, so we would see each other when we would go to our dad's house, but he had his own mom as well. So he's the only child to his mother. She never had more kids. So it was just kind of weird dynamic. I mean, we got along great, so it's not, any type of jealousy or anything or like, younger sister, older brother, rivals, nothing like that. When we came
Yeah.
together, it was pretty cool. Um, and it wasn't all the time. Surprisingly, our moms raised us very well because also when we were coming together, it would be no type of like spoiled type of vibes. Like
Yeah, no
it
competition.
just, yeah, it was honestly like we've been living together for our whole lives. Like no type of fighting over toys, nothing like that. Honestly, it was
Mm,
just, but it might be because he's a little bit older than me, so it was always at that age where it's kind of like in his head he was way more mature than his sister. It was always like I want to say if I was 9, he was probably like 13 or 14. So it was just always a
God.
different age era for both of us.
Mm,
So I was basically raised as a only child, and I say basically because my mom did end up having another child when I
mm-hmm.
was my senior year when I was 17, which is crazy. Um But for the most part, as a younger child, same thing, very high expectations. I feel like maybe even, I don't know, I feel like it's comparable, but it's not higher. Because I feel like for someone with a bunch of siblings and you're the oldest, the high expectations are very high because you are the role model for your younger siblings. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
for an only child, it's more so like, you're my only child, so you better be perfect. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I felt.
It's
So
the same kind of vibe.
it's the
Same
same
kind
kind
of
of
vibe.
vibe. It's the same
Yeah.
kind of vibe. And so honestly, getting obviously my mom having a baby and that being the like my sibling in the house. So getting a sibling in my actual household so late, it felt less like a sibling, more like a mini mother, maybe like
Yeah.
auntie. And it wasn't because, I had to watch him or stuff like that. It was just more so because of the age gap. It was like, you're a literal baby. I'm about to go to college. It was
Yeah.
kind of like, it definitely was free birth control because, sweetie, I didn't want no parts. I seen like it. She honestly had him at the perfect time. I wasn't planning on having any kids anytime soon, but that
Just in case you was
definitely,
thinking about it.
just in case I was thinking about it, slipping up in college, none of that. It
Mhm.
was it. Yeah. So it was kind of like, you're a whole baby. Like, you're not even like 4, little cute toddler. Like, no, you're a baby, and I'm 17 years old. And it was just like
Yeah.
a weird dynamic. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so honestly, I can say he low key made my senior year better. So my mom
Mm-hmm.
was very strict. She was so strict. When she had my brother, she loosened up so much. I mean, obviously, because she
Mm-hmm.
was so busy, she had something else to worry about and a whole nother human to think and care for. So she lightened up so good, and my senior year was lit. I didn't do anything bad, Mom, if you ever hear this, but it was just
Yeah.
better. Like, she just had been on my neck for so long, and I just felt like it was finally at ease.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
I will say I share the same sentiment because my mom was always super strict, but like honestly, not trying to be like I was a good kid, but honestly, I was a good kid. Like
so
when
was I.
whatever my parents pretty much told me to do,
Mm-hmm.
I practically did it. Now there were
Literally.
some times where I'm like, nah, I want to see what that's about, you know. But yeah, like my mom. Once my mom had my brother, she did kind of like she eased up a little bit because she had to chase after him, and she was older. But I would say the way my mom raised my brother versus how she raised me,
Mm-hmm.
two totally different people. Because I
Mm-hmm.
could
Girl,
barely breathe the wrong way without my mom being like, "What? What's
girl,
going on?" And my mom was a single mother, so I felt like she really had felt
same.
the pressure to like make sure I didn't become a statistic.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, like my mom I will say my mom did a lot of things to kind of try to like maybe she didn't have it the right way. Like maybe she didn't have the right financial state.
Right.
So she moved us to a suburban neighborhood so that we could go to a better school. You know what I mean? Shit like that. I will say my mom really was serious about making sure that like, okay, I don't have it all together, but I'm gonna do whatever I can to
Same.
make sure that, you still have a chance or you can like do whatever it is that you want to do. Even though there's also like her own biases within
Right.
that thought pattern, but
Right.
generally that's where she was going with what she did.
Yeah, mine is a little similar. Like, we have it's a lot of similarities, like the age gap at the same time. My brother
Mm.
is literally 7 right now. So I'm watching my mom. It's more so, I feel like yours was like, you do something one day, your brother does it the next day, he doesn't get in trouble, you get in trouble. You know what I mean? Mine is weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching history repeat itself, but it's different this time. And
Mm-hmm.
I literally call her out. Like, I would have got beat if I did
Oh,
that.
I used to call her out too. Like, I mean, like I said, I was pushing high school, by the time my brother could really like walk and talk and do
Hmm.
shit. So like, the shit that my brother would be rolling around the floor crying about, my mom would have yanked my ass up and whooped me and been like, shut your mouth before I make you really cry. You know what I mean? Like my mom was giving dictator with me and like
Girl, dictator. But
democracy with my brother. It's kind of strange.
it's
Like,
it is and it's not. I get it because it's like, sometimes I would think, if my dad was in the house with us, would she have been this harsh? I don't know, but
I
I
don't think
do
so. For
understand.
me.
I understand why mothers, especially Black mothers, and I can say this like now in this age that I am, 23, not when I was 22, now when I was, you know what I mean? As I get older, I kind of understand why they are hard on their daughters. Now, do I agree with it? No. but I do understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just want us to be, you know, better than the next, better than them, better. You get what I'm saying? So I
Mm-hmm.
understand why, but I don't think they go about it in the right way, the right approach
Yeah.
at all. So, um, also you were saying that, you know, your mom tried to do the right thing, what you thought was right, move you to the suburbs. I believe my mom tried the same way. So, but mine's a little different because I just think parenting back in the day, back in the 90s, back in the 80s was not as woke or as like serious as it is now. As people are waking up, like I feel like our parents, oh, I like you, let's have a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of how it wasn't that simple with my mom and my dad. It wasn't just like, oh, I like you, let's have a baby. But it wasn't, I just feel like vetting wasn't, you know, done enough in the
Yeah,
process.
I'm gonna say my mom wasn't really vetting my dad that hard. It was like, ooh, I like this guy. Like I don't be liking these niggas. Like my mom, if my mom was here talking to us right now, she'd be like, yeah, I was a tomboy. Like I hung out with all the cool dudes in the neighborhood. Like I didn't like I always had a boyfriend, but like I ain't really pay them no mind for real. Like that was just something, like I was a cool girl, so of course I had a boyfriend. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when my mom met my dad, it was a different chemistry. And my
Different
mom
feeling.
and
Yeah.
my dad is probably the only one of the few people that my mom
Like
actually fell
actually
in
like
love with. Yeah.
yeah.
So, for her it's like I love him. I want to hang out with him. I want to be with him. Boop, 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 boop. They had sex one Super Bowl and boom, here I
Ooh,
came. You know what I
ooh.
mean? Like, yeah, it's not like first try too, not
Oh
even
wow.
like yeah. So, knowing all of that, growing up, like I kind of took the mindset of like, okay, well, I'm not, first of all, I was not thinking about having sex. My mom would have killed me.
Girl. My mom used to tell me she was gonna get me checked. I'm like, how can you even do that? But I
Yeah, my mom
still
would say the
was
same thing
scared.
too.
Like, I'm not gonna do it because
Yeah,
I don't even
she's
know. Like,
she scared me straight, babe, because I
mm-hmm.
was like, sex for what? I
Mm-mm.
don't want no baby. Mama
Mm-mm.
will kill me and this baby.
Girl, literally.
Whole time, I think if I would have got pregnant, my mom would have been pissed, but she would have just been
It
like,
would
"All
have been
right,
okay.
well,
It
we're
definitely
gonna
would
have
have
a
been okay.
baby."
It would be okay. But
But I'm glad. In my mind, growing up,
yeah.
I kind of like had the mindset like, "Oh, I want to get married. I want to create a
Yes.
family." Because I watched how my mom struggled. Because my mom, again, she was a
Yes.
single mother with two kids, and my dad was kind of in and out whenever he got good and ready. So I watched that and kind of made up in my mind that I wasn't going to have sex until I felt comfortable and ready, and I
Mm-hmm.
definitely wasn't having a baby unless somebody was truly committed to me. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
mine is a little different. My parents knew each other. They met each other when they were 12.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, I think she just wasn't looking at him for all those years as a potential partner. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like they were all best friends just in the neighborhood running around. I think, it wasn't ever looked at like that. So I feel like during that, the vetting wasn't really being done because you know what I mean? That's years. Like, they didn't have me till they were 22, 23. So, like, since
Yeah.
12, that's like a way more than enough time to do vetting. But I just think she wasn't in that mindset, like, oh, yeah, this is going to be my baby daddy. Like, that's kind of weird at 12. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I know this is my husband. So, but I do think their story just kind of makes me feel like, nothing is perfect. That would be
Yeah.
like that sounds like the start of the perfect love story. That literally sounds like Love and Basketball or some shit, which was
Yeah.
their love story. We get into that another day. But it wasn't, and I felt like my mom was kind of the opposite. She tried to do the family thing. She had a job. My dad had a job. They got a place together before they had me. Like, everything was right, but things still happen in relationships, and that's basically what happened with them. But and you know, sad to say, our moms kind of ended up in the same type of position, and they both
Yeah.
had different routes of how they started their journey of, motherhood and parenthood with their spouse. So I just look at that and I'm just like, life is literally just a chance. Like, you just got to do it, because you could literally be married to the love of your life and he can get in a car accident on the way to y'all having y'all's baby. You know what I mean? So you just have to literally do things, because
Yeah.
you never know what'll happen.
Yeah.
But I'm scared in this day and age, but I'm
Yeah.
scared because in this day and age, these men are terrifying.
We gonna
So
get to that.
I don't know. But let's dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So answer this for me. Do you feel like boys and girls are raised differently?
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't know what like I don't know what these people that are trolling the internet are thinking, but boys and girls are definitely raised different. You know, boys got to be strong and tough and can't have no feelings, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, got to be a man at 3 years old. You know what I mean?
True. But that's kind of how
But
raising the girls. If you think about it, like, we
but
could
I
be,
I think within our community,
we're raised to be independent.
we're raised to be masculine and independent.
Yep.
You know, I think it's an
In our
unconscious thing
community.
relating back to like slavery and, you know, the men not really, you know, being taken away at the drop of a dime. So
Right.
I think that's just like generational trauma for, you
Yes.
know, for why we've been raised a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, the girls are raised hard, strict. You know, you better listen and you better do this. You better not get pregnant. You better go to school. You better get educated. You better be independent, because you never know, a man ain't gonna do nothing for you. Blah blah blah. But these dudes, oh, you're the prize. Like, oh, you're a man. You have a job. Oh, it's giving bare minimum for these dudes. And
You know what I think the issue is? I think we need, and a lot of people don't even have these, especially dads. But I think we need to stop the mama's boy, daddy's girl, like that whole vibe, because the men that are in these
honestly,
little boys' lives, the men that are in these little boys' lives, they they think just because they're there, that does help, but you're still most likely raising a monster. Like,
yeah,
you think, oh, my son got to be masculine and he got to do this and do that. No, your son can cry. It's okay for your son to cry.
yeah.
It's okay for your
It's
daughter
it's
to go
it's
out
okay
and,
for a man to have some lick of emotional intelligence. I
yes.
think if anything, these boys, these men, they need therapy so that they can grow in the emotional arena, because they just don't have it. Like,
Mhm. But I just think that the mama's boy and daddy's girl, whole thing is the the boys get a different type of emotion when with their mom.
mhm,
Do you get, like, I see a lot of men that will treat their mom like a queen, but then every other woman like shit. So it's kind of like
mhm,
they're not raised, and I don't say it's the mother's fault. It might not be, but they kind of just look at their mom like, oh, almighty, and then everyone else is shit.
mhm,
So it's, and a lot of moms have weird relationships with their sons,
mhm,
and a lot of stuff that mothers do with their sons. If a father did that with their daughter, police will be called.
mhm.
So and the daddy's girl thing is basically just the dad spoiling the daughter. Like, the son deserves that type of treatment too. The son doesn't. These boys just need. I don't know what they need, honestly, but I think tough love isn't the answer.
Yeah, I think they need a man to who really has it going on mentally
Yeah.
and emotionally, to talk to them and be like, look, like, this is how you act, this is how you move. Like, you can still be a boss, you can still be masculine, but the toxic masculinity part is
Mm-hmm.
where we're losing them. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to marry none of these men out here.
At
Like,
all. At
I'm
all.
sorry, you gotta be like baby, bare minimum, you better be bare maximum. Like, I'm looking for the best of the fucking best. It ain't, I'm sorry, I'm not allowing you to invade my womb
Just because.
for drama and
Just because we both want a baby. Not at all.
I don't I
I
don't
don't
want a
just
baby.
want a baby.
It's so crazy because literally I say 5 years ago, I was like, oh my God, like I really want to get married. I really want to have a baby. Like, it's about that time. Yeah, I'm good. Like, so
Thank
I've dated
God
enough of
that
these
didn't
men.
happen.
I've dated enough of these men to rethink that one.
And you know, I think they've always been bad. They're just finally getting exposed. Like we're really calling them out. We really know how to put it into words now.
Yeah. And we're not taking it. And I think that's the difference. Like, our mother's generation, they couldn't get a bank account. You know what I mean? They couldn't buy
Yeah,
property.
we were being held hostage.
They barely could vote.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed these men. We
Exactly.
don't need these men. We are
Mm-mm.
performing these men. We're more educated than these men. We make more money than these men. Like, the list can go on. So
I wouldn't be surprised if before they actually change and just be good people, they turn this whole United States bullshit into the Handmaid's Tale. Like, oh, y'all don't want to listen to us anymore? We're gonna go all the way back to old school where y'all are literally our slaves and we have wives and mistresses and
babe, with
they're
the
so
overturning of
backwards.
Roe versus Wade, we're on
Girl.
the way.
So if you had to trade places with your sibling, what do you think the dynamic of the family would have been? I
Mm,
kind of just feel like if my my little brother, who's 7, was my age and I was 7, my mom would have never asked him to watch me or just the type of responsibility I had over him sometimes. I
yeah,
don't think it would have been put on a older brother, which it usually isn't, which
yeah.
is weird.
I'm gonna say, in my experience, I think that my mom would have still asked, just because she didn't really have an option. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she had to have me watch my brother. So I think that he would have had to watch me. I just don't know what that would have looked like, and I don't know what the responsibility level would be at, because I love my brother to death, but like, it has taken him a little more time to mature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then again, who knows? If my brother was raised the way I was raised, then maybe, he would have been mature, a little more mature.
Yeah, I
But
definitely think my mom would have also asked, but I just think that a lot of women, a lot of parents don't ask their older sons to do it. And I think that is a reason why boys grow into men and don't know how to watch their kids, don't want to watch their kids. Like, the parenthood is not equal when it comes to just watching your children. Like, how many women have to ask their husbands to watch the kids while they go to the store? Why are you just leave? Why are you asking him anything? Like, you're
yeah,
getting on his nerves. Are you
why can't he?
serious?
Why can't you leave for the weekend and he not call you a million times? That's what I want to know. Why can't he run the house just as efficiently as you do? Because the
It's like,
vetting process is just trash.
is
Like,
it, are
there's no
we the
responsibility.
issue? Like, are the mothers the issue? Are we not raising them or promptly enough to do that? Like, I just don't get it. But also, they love to play stupid.
Yes.
They will be
So,
raised equipped as AF. Their mothers literally be like, I didn't raise you to do stuff like this. And they know that, but they love to play stupid. And we
yeah.
love to play controller for some
Yeah.
reason.
We love to just get it done. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, fuck that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Unacceptable.
So I just feel like on another side of the parenthood tree,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the lack of tradition these days is kind
Yeah.
of also affecting, how these kids are being raised.
Yeah. I
Like,
agree.
no
Like,
one.
see, and many of my social media friends, like, going down to the country and going to family reunions or
Over, girl.
doing cookouts. And I know with COVID things have changed,
But
but
even
long
before,
before COVID came along, I haven't seen a
mm-mm.
reunion anything in a long fucking time. Like
In a long time, probably since my like grandma's grandma. Like
probably since middle school for me.
yeah,
So
I would say about elementary for me. I won't lie. My I did go to a family reunion last year. It was I see why they don't want us, you know, quote unquote millennials throwing things because it was bougie as fuck and that could have literally been thrown at a park. But whatever. You know, family reunions were never a thing where you had to like we had to pay. Like everyone had parts to pay because it was at like a
yeah.
banquet hall. Like no, only thing you have to pay for is your plane ticket or however you're gonna get there, the bus, whatever you were gonna do. That was that. But
Well, I will
tradition,
say for my family, like we used to do family reunions at one of my uncle's houses down in the country. He's passed now. So like since he passed away, we haven't really I think they had one while I was in college, but I was away. But they haven't really had them anymore. But I will say with my family, everybody knew they need to show up. Don't show up fucking empty handed.
mm-hmm.
We ain't doing that. Because
Yeah,
everybody, you know, all the aunties want to show up and show each other up. You know what I'm saying? Who
yep,
cooked the best? Who cooked the best pork and beans? Who made the best potato salad? We need to figure this out. Settle this one more
yeah,
time. You
yeah.
know? So,
I,
like, but yeah, it's just.
key word that you said though, your uncle had a house. Babe, we can't get those these days.
Oh, but remember, our parents, they still had the opportunity to, you know,
Buy a house
own a
for
house and
$10,000. Like own a full house for $10,000 and just insane prices. But I just think the lack of tradition is maybe going to hurt us in the long run. I think the lack of tradition is also, you know,
so where do you think that the tradition has fallen apart along the generational line? If you had to pick a generation, is it your mom's generation? Is your grandparents?
I
Who
would
do you
honestly
think?
say like my mom's generation.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like my mom is not sitting here like, oh, we need to throw this. Now, don't get me wrong. The person, we're not just not talking to our family. So I will say
Right.
that everyone in my mom's sibling group, my auntie, I have one auntie that does the events or like if we go come into town, everyone will stay at her house, that type of vibe, but that's about it. But I will say like my mom's generation, like they really just don't care that much. Like
Mm,
they don't care. And also another thing, I feel like even with my mom having a younger child, which I think also affects this what I'm about to say, I think if she was a grandparent, the tradition in that would also not be how it used to be.
mm,
Like I don't think, like one, I think, girl, I'm already watching my son. I don't want to watch yours. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
he's still a baby, but not even that. It's just a lot of grandparents that haven't had kids in over however old their children are, 30 years, and they don't want to watch their kids anymore. They don't want to watch their grandkids. They don't want to. Not saying they don't want to be involved, but they're just over it. They're not. You're not about to just drop your kids off over here all the time. But these are the same people that stay dropping their kids off to their parents all
Mm.
the time. But
Yeah. So yeah, I will say our parents' generation, they didn't really have to like do it all on their own. Their parents were glad to come pick up the baby, glad to.
mm-hmm,
When my mom had me, my great grandmother, we stayed at my
mm-hmm,
grandmother's house for almost a year. All my mom's aunts took turns
a
taking care.
village, yes.
Yeah, it was very much a village.
Yeah, when I was born, it was a village. My mom was able to go straight back to work. Like it was somebody to watch me every day. It was no
Yeah,
issue. It was no problems. But I also think with this day and age, these grandparents are still working.
yeah, that plays a big role in it because
Yeah.
they're not chilling, they're not retiring, they're still working. My mom is 50 something and very much working.
Yeah, it's like back in 30 years ago, people at 50 were retiring. So they had time to, like my grandma, she, when I was born, she was right there. Like she, every day. It was her and then my great great grandma. So they weren't working. They weren't, I would be surprised by our generation doesn't start retiring until like 70 now. Like, no, not even that. Cause my
Honestly,
grandma is in her 70s about to start retiring. So 80s, like it's about to be crazy. But um yeah, they are still working. They're tired. It's not like they just at home all day, get to garden, do this, cook. They're still working, trying to take care of themselves.
so why are they still so brainwashed? And why can't they understand why this shit, why we are upset, we don't want to work, we
That's
don't
a
want
great
to retire?
question. That is a great question, but they really think this is just a part of life. But I think also they're stuck in that rat race. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that's a really good question. But I think they're stuck in that rat race, and it's kind of like they don't have time to think. It's more
Mm,
so like, let me just keep doing this. Because if you really step back and think, you'd be like, my mom retired at 50. I'm 55 and I have 10 more years to go. That doesn't make sense. They're not doing that. They don't have time to think. They just think, oh, work, work, work. And I think the average person in this day and age looks a lot younger.
mm.
All age ranges.
You know
And
what? You're right.
so I think these employers are like, oh, you still look like you got about 20 years left in you. Meanwhile, she's 50
Yeah,
and
she
on her
need to
last
sit down
leg.
real soon.
But
Yeah,
I think even in our generation, people are going to look even younger at these ages. Like it's going to be crazy.
yeah,
It's
it's
going to
gonna.
be crazy. Like there's no more ugly people. Not to sound like, but like that's a thing of the past.
Mm.
Like people are just becoming more and more beautiful each and every day, and that's the reason why y'all still working because y'all look young. They look at they because you know them when it's time to get cut off. Okay, Charlie, you've been on the line for about 40 years now. You messing stuff up. Charlie is now Chris, and Chris don't miss. His eyes is on it. He is 62, and you would think he was 48. So it is what it is. But I think going back to the topic, new parents also don't even want their parents around their children because of the different
Mm.
parenting styles. Like,
Valid.
how were you disciplined in your house?
So yeah, my mom was whooping ass.
Same, absolute
I'm
same.
gonna cut straight to it. Like I ain't listen. I messed up, girl. Don't let me come home with a C on my report card, cause it's hell to pay. I may or may not get a whooping based on how tired she is from working. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, girl, grades, babe.
before my
I
brother
wasn't.
came along, my mom was cracking the fuck out of that whip. Okay, when my brother came along, she kind of like she still was whooping my ass, but she kind of was like, I'm a you on punishment for 2 weeks. Give me.
But do you think that comes with age,
I think it does.
or was that because of the boy girl thing, or maybe
Well,
because you're also older, so it's like, girl, she in high school, I'm gonna have to whip her. She my size. You know what I mean? What do you
no,
think that
my
was?
mom was trying to. I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably the last time my mom really whooped me, she got mad because she was like, "You need to lay down." And I'm like, "No." She's
Oh
like, "If I
wow.
see you in my house, you gotta go." And that was a whole thing. And after that, she really stopped whooping me, but she didn't stop putting her hands on me. So that's
Yeah.
different.
Then you start getting smacks, the pops in the mouth.
Yeah.
You started. I get it. I get it. I get it. And maybe that is not saying yours personally, but you know how that little rival mothers start to get with their daughters because they
Mm,
think like they see their daughters aren't little girls anymore. They see them as like, oh, you grown.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can see it, but yeah, girl, it's different. These, like I said, these kids as well. Like I believe that our generation might be raising lazy children. Like
Are we?
My brother
Are
just wants to
we?
watch YouTube all day.
I
And
mean,
he gets whoopings and he doesn't cry. My mama be cracking. My mama, she ain't, one thing she ain't lost
yeah.
in
I
that
think
department.
after a while, my mom also realized that she couldn't really whoop my brother like that. So
Yeah, it's like, what's up with the mamas? Like, these mamas, these why these daddies need
she
to stay
got
in
old
these
as
lives.
well.
Like, that woman, he ain't gonna do nothing. Honestly, I can't even say, if I was a little boy and my mom was hitting me, I would just look at that like weird. I wouldn't know how to look at it, or I can't put it into words, but that's just like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't, it kind of be like, you don't scare me.
Mm.
That's kind of how that's what my brother kind of gives off with my mom. Like, he's not scared of anything. And I don't know, she kind of makes it like, oh, he's just, that's just his personality. And like, oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
But I do think we are raising lazy children. All they want to do is watch YouTube. They don't want to go
Well,
outside and play.
they're not getting treated like us. Like, we were forced to go outside and play. Like, it might have been like a get out of my face, but we had to go stay outside. Like, there was no coming inside to really watch TV like that.
Given we didn't have all these devices, there were devices though.
We had phones and computers at some point, but I will say when we were young, well, when I was younger for sure, phones didn't really start becoming a thing until like I was in almost before I went to middle school. So,
oh yeah,
but still, we still were conditioned to go outside. Like my friends who live in the neighborhood, I'd rather really be
I wanted to go
outside
outside.
than be in a house looking at a computer all day. Like that wasn't that fun until high school when I was trying to like be fast a little bit, you know.
But I'm just scared of that effect. Is it like, are we raising little brainiacs, or are we raising like people? Like, are we going to see the effect of, how the boomers and what all those other people, I don't even know what to call them, are saying we're lazy. The millennials are lazy. We don't want to work. Are we going to see the full-fledged effect of that with these kids coming out? Like, dang, maybe we should have been trying to work, or you know what I mean? Everybody can't be a YouTuber and be playing all day.
I really think that it's important to like limit the screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that people really understand the effects of like just putting. I've never been out in public so much and seen so many quiet kids because they're on iPad. Like I don't like the sound of kids screaming, but I want to hear kids scream every once in a while. Let me know I'm alive. You know what I mean? Like these kids be like in a trance.
And the new discipline
That phone
style.
gets taken away, they lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Also, that's a shutter upper. Like, take this, just
for
take
sure.
it.
Yeah, they don't want
No
they don't want to
patience.
deal with. They're not really raising these kids.
Yeah,
They
they're not
said
raising
we
them.
were raised by screens. These kids are really being raised by whatever is on, whatever they can find with them little fingertips. So I don't. I mean, maybe we are. I don't know if we're raising lazy kids, but I know we're raising some
Something not good.
socially awkward kids because they don't know how to communicate.
Mm-mm.
And their communication is going to be highly affected by all this screen time.
Yeah, and do you think the way that we're raising them, and we're saying we're as in our age range, because that's what we're seeing, the little kids of the era right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're raising them? Do you think this is because of like this new soft, what is it called? Soft parenting style? Do you think that has anything to do with like, here, just take the phone, I don't want to hear you, like just giving them their way, kind of? Or I think it might be a mixture of both.
I think that soft parenting is about actually talking to your kids and understanding how they feel and, really making them use their words and making them get in touch with how they feel. True soft parenting. Now, these lazy ass parents are going to have lazy ass kids. Lazy ass parents who are just like, take the iPad, go what? You want to watch Cocomelon? Literally, I've seen TikToks of people being like, stop letting your kids watch Cocomelon because it's keeping them from speaking.
Literally.
Like
I've seen that too.
Yeah, like this shit is not a game. You can't just put a fucking screen in front of a baby's face and think that that's okay. Like, just shutting your kid up all day is not, that's not soft parenting. That's not really parenting.
That's fucked up. What you about to say?
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
I
Like,
just think
you raising your kid
that
to be a zombie.
I think it's both. I think it's lazy, and I think I think the beginning and like for sure end all be all for soft parenting to start the start of it was like I'm not whooping my kids, and I agree with that. I'm not
Yeah,
whooping my like it's different ways to handle things than whooping your kids, beating your
yeah,
kids. That's literally like slave. That's like
yeah.
generational trauma. Like
I think, and I also think that like for certain things, you need to understand who your kid is and what your kid needs. I think that's what it really boils down to. I
yes,
think
people
if
don't
you're
understand
really
children.
involved and you're really like, okay, my kid does better, when I approach situations this way,
Yes, because I
you know,
think it's a lot of
and
comparing in the parenting world
yeah,
for years. It's been, and it's like,
yeah.
well, why doesn't my kid react
Or
like
just
that?
extreme. Like think about when you were a kid and like your mom would bring you around and somebody would have something smart to say just because they just wanted to fucking have something to say, not really because they care or they're
Right.
worried about your well being. Like, you know, our parents' generation, they they was they were raised in the 80s where everything was flashy and
Mm-hmm.
it's about how you look and how you dress. So it's a lot of competition in that sort of thing,
Yeah,
but I think that now people are like, okay, but fuck what y'all think. My
literally.
mom was a fuck what y'all think kind of mom, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
what you're saying because it is. I think a lot of also there's no rule book to this, but I think a
of
lot of
course not.
parents let other parents get into their head and like,
Mm,
oh, should I be doing that? Or you know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? It's just a lot to it, and that's why I'm like, don't know if I
Yeah.
really want to sign up for this. But what I will say is, um, with not only that, I just feel like with the state of the world right now, it's kind of has a lot of weight on my decision if I want to become a parent.
So how do you feel about the decision to have a baby then versus the decision that we have now?
I think it's just absolutely totally different now. Like people
Mm-hmm.
really are thinking. Like they're looking past, oh, we might have a cute baby together, or oh, I like his shoes. I'm gonna he's the freshest guy in school. Yeah, I want him. Let's have a baby. To now like, am I compatible with this person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think people are more so thinking about it like long term. Like, will you be with this person after your kids are out the house? They're more so thinking, I don't want to say that you kind of have to be selfish in the beginning because you have to be thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you think about yourself and how you're going to feel, you're going to be happy, your kids are going to be happy, your spouse is going to be happy. You know what I mean? You have to kind of really be selfish in the vetting and finding your partner because
Mm-hmm.
that determines everything in the end. And like I said, the men that are on the platter right now, I don't want no parts. So it's honestly just not looking good, just with everything. Like I want my kids to live in a house. Like it's a lot of things and different that are all fucked up in the world right now that
Mm-hmm.
I want for my family and my kids, and it's just not giving that. I don't even want this world is so fucked up. Like I'm scared to send my kid to school. Is the shit gonna get shot up? You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
so many things you have to think about now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. But what do you think?
I think the difference between then and now is just like, I mean, kind of, I'm on the same wavelength as you, like the awareness of like, okay, this guy
Mm-hmm.
is cute, but like, what's his temperament like? What are his habits like? Is he really gonna be here for me and this baby?
Mm-hmm.
You and
How
not
I
to
look
say
at it.
that everybody in our generation is thinking, because a
Mm-mm.
lot of people
Still not thinking.
are still having are repeating the
Mm-hmm.
same cycles that their parents or people in our community have perpetrated before. So not everybody, but I know there is a movement among the women of today who do not have kids, who are thinking like, I mean, let's think about this a little bit deeper before we just jump right into this head first, because
Literally.
it's not just, oh, I'm gonna have a baby with this guy. Like, How
Mm-mm.
is this baby going to survive? How are you going to survive? Do you make enough money? Do you make enough money to sustain you and this baby for life? Because
It's not.
as a TikTok lady that I came across said, this is your baby. He could
Mm-hmm.
go at any moment.
Any moment, and that's unfair too. We're gonna talk about that in another video. We're gonna maybe like
Yeah,
motherhood. We'll talk about
or
the
we have a
unfairness.
new paradigm shift where men are being bamboozled and the babies are getting dropped off with them,
Period.
and the women are disappearing.
Stay tuned, guys. We're gonna have a whole video about motherhood. Period. But
so
ultimately, what
yeah,
I'll say in the end about this question is: would you want your partner, how your partner acts? Would you want your kid to be just like that?
yeah,
That type of saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, would you want
yeah,
your kid to act just like your partner? Because that's what it's gonna be.
yeah,
It's not just getting your full time raising, it's getting half of theirs too, half of their say so. So would you
yeah.
want your kid to be like your partner? And if no, get to moving. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Next. So I feel like now I need to ask this question. Do you think becoming a parent in this day and age, honestly, let's just say all together, do you think becoming a parent is selfish?
It should be.
You didn't get my consent. You didn't get my consent to birth me.
It should be, because I think there needs to be like, it needs to be deeper than I'm in love with him
Mm-hmm.
and we're building a life. Like, okay, boo, yo,
Y'all are building a life. Y'all gotta think about the life y'all are bringing in. Y'all
yeah,
gotta be able
like,
to compensate. But like, it's just so many things that aren't thought out.
and as you mentioned before, there's so many factors at play that you can't necessarily control. You don't know if this man's gonna wake up tomorrow and become a new person, and you're gonna be left with that baby. You don't
Literally.
know if something could happen to you or him, where that person doesn't have you anymore. Like, I really think that if you're not thinking about it from a can I do this on my own stance, men and women,
Mm-hmm.
not just leaving it up to the women, because unfortunately we are kind of like the default for raising children, but
Right.
men need to also think about the role that they play too, because these men want you to go 50-50 with them, have their baby,
Oh
work
God,
fucking 40 hours a week like they do, and then come home and put in 40 more hours a week
girl,
at home.
bye.
Are you fucking crazy?
I can do that
Never.
single.
I
If
could
that ever
never.
becomes my reality, I will be single and
I
doing
could
that.
never.
Like, I will be
I could
single.
never.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So, do you think that parenting is a good decision for this generation? I think not.
I think on a general scale, no.
I think not.
The world that we live in,
Today,
baby, no. If you're thinking about bringing into a kid into this world, you are beyond selfish. You don't even really give a fuck about the baby. You think about the baby as an idea.
as
And
an
I think that a
idea.
lot of people think about kids as an extension of themselves and not an actual person who's going to grow up and have to function in this world.
And I hate to make it sound like this because children are blessings. I do think that. But kids just make things worse. In any situation you're in, you think that's going to save your relationship. It's not.
Nope.
You're single or, y'all might be together. Y'all break up during the pregnancy. It's not. And you have to raise this kid as a single mother. Like, it's just going to make your life more difficult and harder. I don't know why. I think more women are speaking up and saying, like, having kids is not what it's all cracked up to be. Like, it's not
Hmm.
all fun and giggles. It's not a game.
Yeah.
And it
It's
honestly,
not just unconditional love all the time. And I think that a lot of
mm-mm.
people kind of get lost in that trope too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just want somebody to love me. Love your fucking self. If
Girl,
that's what it is, love your fucking self and don't involve a baby in none of that shit.
like, you had me so I could just love you. Are you crazy?
I
You need
hate
a
you.
man. You need
Now
you
what?
need a pet.
I hate your ass. Now what?
You need a pet, literally. Right. I don't love you. I hate you. What you gonna do now? Girl,
Yeah,
this
I just think it's a really irresponsible, like, literally, global warming is upon us. Ain't gonna be no earth for your kids to have
Literally, that's what
if
I
we
think
keep
about. I'm
burning these
like,
fossil fuels up. So I don't, baby, we need to be selfish when we're
they
thinking
don't
about
even
whether or
think
not you want to
about
bring
that.
kids.
Girl, they don't even think about, they not even thinking about the state of the world. They don't even think about the state of the baby daddy. They're definitely not thinking about global warming. Like, I think about all that. But like I said, life is a chance. You never know. All this shit could be fake and they're lying about all that shit. So you kind of just got to do it if you feel like it's right. But take accountability. If you're going to do it,
Yeah.
take accountability.
Because I don't want to, I'm sorry. I have nothing against anybody who decides to bring children into this world. I think children are beautiful. I think they're great. I think they're lovely. But I'm sorry. I don't want to hear the fucking excuses when the shit is hard for you because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately you had a decision to make
Mm-hmm.
and you could have made better decisions. I've done shit in my life where I'm like, damn, I could have made a better decision. And got
Absolutely.
consequences of that. And I think that we have to stop going easy on people when we talk about these different topics. And I know that people don't really want to hear that because
Mm-hmm.
they're brainwashed.
Yeah.
But baby, you gotta wake up because this is real life out here.
I think the new word of the era, the century, it needs to be accountability. We have to start taking accountability
Yeah.
for all of our actions, especially when bearing children. These kids don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Stop adding people to this miserable world if your life's miserable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not gonna
We
fix
got a
anything.
housing crisis, food shortage, hungry
Girl.
people, a terrible work environment, as we spoke about in our last
So selfish.
episode. Like,
Yes, we
why do
did.
you want to bring a kid into this world to fucking suffer?
To suffer, to literally suffer. You don't come from nothing. During the time of, then and now, you haven't accomplished anything. I'm just gonna have a baby now.
And just because your life is good now, you have to
Doesn't
look
mean,
at the
yeah.
things that are happening now, that are going on
Hmm.
now, that maybe are not affecting you, but are going to affect those kids when they grow up.
Hmm.
Because nobody would have thought that we would have been having this big housing crisis.
None of this.
Nobody would have thought that global warming is getting has shifted to a even lesser timeline
Hmm.
issue. You know what I mean? Like 20 years ago, oh, global warming was a 50-year thing. The ice caps are melting, babe. We got a good 20 years, if that, before this shit really goes bad. I'm sorry, but I know people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth.
What I'll say, I think this is we should finish it on this. What I'll say is, I wish I was as naive as my parents. I wish I was living in a la la world like they did. I wish I had that
Oh,
privilege. That's really a privilege. Like, I can't even if I try to not think about it, I can't.
mm,
It's stuck in my head.
girl, you
I
give me
really
the
do.
goosebumps. Because delusion would be a humble spice
Delusion.
of
With
delusion
men,
would
with
be
all, I
great.
wish I was delusional. Oh my goodness. Delusional people be so happy.
Yeah,
Girl. But that's the
yeah.
issue. That's the issue. There's so many delusional people, and that's why it's
That's why
bad
this
out here.
shit is a dumpster fire now.
But I can say that I wish I was delusional sometimes, but because I'm not, I can't make these silly mistakes. And I know, one, two people, I'm sure it's more than just you and me who think like this, aren't going to change anything. But if we start, spreading the word more and just making it click in people's heads that
Mhm.
this is not what you want. This isn't it. That some things will start to change because we're literally headed for fucking hell if we don't figure some shit out.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be fun. Not going to be fun. So,
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in.
thank you.
Really love to hear your thoughts. If you have any rebuttals to anything that we said,
Mm-hmm.
leave your comments down below.
Please, we
Let us
love to see your comments.
know.
We love to see your comments. We love to reply.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just a big conversation every week.
Yeah.
Huge conversation to have because these are important topics that need to be talked about. We're tired of all these elephants in the room. No, let's discuss it.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
And
We
we'll
will see you
next time.
next week. Bye.
Bye.